In this tutorial, we'll discuss the Level Designer. You can create a new map from scratch, customize or copy existing maps. Let's use a brand new map now. You can rotate the view by pressing Ctrl and dragging. Move by pressing Shift, zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. This aligns with controls in Bricklink Studio. You can change the size of the map from small to extra large. The terrain elevation data is scaled with the map, but other items and roads are not, so it's recommended to set this up as an initial step. Note that extra large maps will probably not perform well. I recommend using small or medium sizes for most cases. You can start placing roads by switching to the Roads mode. Then press and hold the Alt key and draw the roads by clicking. You'll notice white control points appearing that specify the road path. You can click and move them around. When a marker is selected, the new road section will be started from that point if you press Alt again. This can create intersections with up to 4 road sections. Markers can be deleted by pressing Backspace or Delete. Pressing S will split the road at the selected marker. Pressing I will insert a new marker near the selected one. When adding curved sections in high-speed racing tracks, you can specify road tilting at markers in degrees. You can connect the road end to an existing marker by clicking close to it. When switched to the Items mode, you can move the Start Marker arrow around. Press the R key and move the mouse to rotate it around. Press R again or click to exit the rotation mode. Select items from the inventory and place them by clicking on the map. If you press and hold Ctrl, you can keep placing the same item. Pressing S will let you adjust the scale of the item. Pressing R will rotate it. Select multiple items by dragging on the screen. Scaling will scale the entire set of items. Ctrl S will scale the items in place. Shift S will scale their position. Similarly, you can rotate multiple items. Ctrl R will rotate each item in place, and Shift R will rotate their positions only. Ctrl C and Ctrl V will copy and paste items. You can try the current level by just clicking play. You don't have to save the map. The Customize Map button will bring you back to editing. When an item is selected, you can adjust how it interacts physically with the environment. By switching on Collides mode, you can bump into them. If they are movable, then you can push them around. Or have a spherical collider, not just for balls. Note that the collisions won't follow the exact geometry of the pieces. In most cases, the bounding box of each item is used as a collider, as we've discussed in a previous tutorial. You can adjust the vertical position of items using the Sync option. This is particularly useful to make sure that you don't bump into the side of ramps. Now let's create something more interactive. Configure this part of the model to be able to rotate around its vertical axis. We first create the hinge joint to restrict the motion. Then configure it to be a separate body and set some sane masses. Save the item and place it from the inventory to the map. We can push this thing around, and it is interacting nicely with the car and the environment. Notice that the bottom part is not configured to be movable or colliding, so the car can just go through it. Also, these models don't need to be physically viable in the classical sense. Now let's customize this a bit further by adding a default rotation. We can customize the selected placement by clicking the Customize button. The customizations made now will affect only the selected placement. Other instances of the same item will be unaffected by these changes, and also the template in the inventory is unaffected. We now added a continuous control that will add a rotation to the bottom part. During gameplay, we can click on items that have controls and colliders. In this case, we can adjust the speed of the rotation by pressing the default R and F keys. Now let's discuss terrain editing. Switch to terrain editing mode. You can raise elevation by clicking and dragging on the map. Pressing the Alt key will lower the terrain. Adjust the radius, strength, and smoothness of the transformation. You can also select the Set Height mode, in which case you can directly set a given elevation value. There's also a Smoothen mode. Road markers will align to the designed elevation, and the road sections between markers will even out elevation around them. Now let's create a racetrack. You can configure a track to be in racing mode by adding the Racing objective. Levels will be in Sandbox mode by default. Then place a start pole and optionally further checkpoints around the track. Any item can be used for these roles. You need to set up their order and configure if the track is circular or not. When playing a level in racing mode, you can set up the number of laps you'd like to go and configure it to start in split-screen multiplayer. Other configurable game objectives will come soon. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you'll enjoy playing the game. Join our Discord and don't hesitate to ask for help or show off what you've created. Happy bricking!